My wife and daughter abandoned me during my cancer battle. Years later, thinking I was dead, they returned to claim an $8 million inheritance. But things didn't go as planned. I never imagined facing cancer alone. When I was diagnosed with stage 3 lymphoma, my wife Maria and our teenage daughter Chloe promised to stand by me. Yet, just 3 months into the brutal chemotherapy, they left, without a word, just a note on the kitchen counter that read, "We can't do this anymore. Sorry." I remember staring at those words, the chemo fog making everything feel surreal. A neighbor stepped in to help me through the toughest months, and against all odds, I went into remission. I moved to a quiet town, changed my will, and rebuilt my life. The pain of their betrayal dulled over time, replaced by a quiet resolve to live, not just for myself, but out of spite. Then came the inheritance. When my grandfather passed away, I inherited his sprawling vineyard and an $8 million fortune. The news spread quickly, especially after an obituary mistakenly listed me as deceased. I laughed bitterly at the irony. I never bothered to correct it. Maybe part of me wanted to see who would come crawling back. Sure enough, they came. It started with a knock on the door one chilly autumn morning. When I opened it, there stood Maria and Chloe, both looking like they'd stepped off the pages of a lifestyle magazine. Maria's face was carefully composed, but Chloe wouldn't meet my eyes. "Oh my God, it is you," Maria breathed, her hand clutching her designer purse. We thought you were dead." "Disappointed I'm not?" I asked, leaning against the doorframe. "Of course not," Maria forced a laugh. "We came to pay our respects and, well, to claim the inheritance." I finished her sentence for her, and her silence was all the confirmation I needed. They had no idea that I'd rewritten the will. The vineyard and fortune were now left to a charitable trust, and to my neighbor Carla, who had stuck by me when no one else had. I invited them in, masking my amusement at their transparent attempts to act contrite. Maria gushed about how much they had missed me, and Chloe simply nodded along, her eyes darting nervously. I played along, feigning interest in their fabricated tales of hardship. I didn't tell them that I had seen photos of their glamorous trips and Chloe's college parties on social media. Maria finally spoke, shifting in her seat. About grandfather's estate. She began. "What about it?" I asked, sipping my coffee. "Well, since you're alive," she continued, her voice sickly sweet, "we figured it's still rightfully yours, but you know, Chloe and I could help manage it." I let the silence stretch, letting their discomfort grow. Then I smiled. "Oh, I forgot to mention, I rewrote the will." The color drained from Maria's face, and Chloe froze, mid-sip of her tea. "What?" Maria whispered. "Yes," I said, leaning forward. "The inheritance is going to charity. The vineyard belongs to Carla now. She actually cared when I was dying." Maria's mask slipped, revealing raw anger. "You can't be serious. We're family. Family doesn't abandon you when you're at your lowest," I said coldly. "You made your choice. Now live with it." Maria exploded into a tirade, accusing me of being vindictive. Chloe sat there, teary-eyed, mumbling apologies, but I wasn't buying it. I handed them the will, highlighting the changes, and watched their reactions. Maria snatched it from me, reading in disbelief, while Chloe buried her face in her hands. "You'll regret this," Maria spat as she stormed out, dragging Chloe behind her. I thought that would be the end of it, but a week later, Maria filed a lawsuit claiming I had manipulated my grandfather into changing his will. The court case dragged on, and Maria's lies unraveled under scrutiny. The photos of her luxurious vacations and her complete absence during my illness painted a damning picture. The judge dismissed the case, chastising her for her greed. She left the courtroom defeated, with Chloe trailing behind, looking ashamed. Months later, I received a letter from Chloe. In it, she apologized for abandoning me, admitting that she had let Maria manipulate her. She begged for a chance to reconnect. I sat with the letter for hours, torn between anger and the faint hope of redemption. In the end, I decided to meet her. We sat on a bench overlooking the vineyard, and for the first time, Chloe cried genuinely. "I'm sorry," she said. I told her it would take time, but I was willing to try. Maria, on the other hand, got nothing. She disappeared from our lives, leaving Chloe and me to rebuild what she had almost destroyed. As for the $8 million, it's now funding cancer research, a fitting legacy for someone who truly fought to live.